Hi, seniors. Okay, now that you've written the body of your paper, which should follow the order of your thesis and support your argument, that means you've written all three topics. The next step is to write the conclusion right here. Since the conclusion recaps your paper, then you write the introduction, and finally you write the title if you haven't already done so. So the first thing you want to do is write the conclusion. Students usually say this is one of the easier portions of the paper to write, and here's the formula. Sentence 1 restates the thesis in words that reflect it but do not obviously repeat it. A lot of students choose just to restate the argument. Sentence 2 summarizes the first topic. Sentence 3 summarizes the second topic. Sentence 4 summarizes the third topic. And sentence 5 summarizes the whole argument again and reminds the audience why your topic is important and relevant for them to consider and also to agree with. Then you write the introduction. Now, the introduction should be easier to write now that you know what your paper is all about. So you use your intro to address what you will write about in your paper. You don't want to address anything in your introduce anything in your introduction that you don't cover in your paper. That's why you write it last. Sentence 1 is going to be a hook or a grabber. That could be a fact, a quote, a statistic, or a brief story. Sentence 2 adds information to the hook or the grabber. Sentence 3 is like a pivot point. It begins to narrow your focus and turn the reader's attention to what you're going to cover in the thesis. Sentence 4, you're using this sentence to set up the thesis and lead into it, and sentence 5 is your thesis statement. It comes at the end of your introductory paragraph and it's underlined. Once you give your title, it's best to use a title that encompasses what you cover in your paper, and you could use a line or a phrase from your paper if you want. As you check your paper, make sure there's a transition from each paragraph from one to the next. I gave you some transition words. And remember that you can always add a couple of sentences to your intro and conclusion if you have more to say. You'll see that the students did that as well. So let's look at this paper on gun control. All right, the thesis statement says that while citizens should keep the right to own guns, see right here, here's the argument in orange: stricter laws for stronger background checks should be implemented. So that's what the student wants, is stricter background checks for gun ownership. And there are three topics, three reasons why: to keep the assault weapons off the streets, to deter deranged criminals, and to prevent further massacres. All right, so the conclusion, the first sentence is going to kind of restate the argument. While it is necessary that citizens keep the right to responsible gun ownership, stricter laws on gun control are essential, ensuring that guns are kept in the hands of responsible individuals. All right, now let's look at this next sentence. Sentence 2 is a summary of topic 1. Notice it's yellow and then yellow. Sentence 3 is a summary of topic 2. Pink and pink. Sentence 4 is a summary of topic 3, prevent further massacres. Also, checks could prevent widespread massacres. And then the last sentence then wraps up the argument again. Okay, let's look at the introduction. Here's a fact. In light of such tragedies as the Newton and Aurora shootings in Connecticut and Colorado, respectively, there has been a public outcry for stricter gun control laws, such as a ban on assault weapons and stronger background checks. Okay, so that's the hook. There's the fact. Americans have a long history quoting the Second Amendment's right to bear arms as a prime example on both sides of the argument. Although disagreements arise about its interpretation, most people agree that citizens no longer need to own weapons meant for military protection. Gun ownership can still be legal for weapons that make sense for sport and hunting, such as handguns and rifles. Moreover, these guns should be legal for self-protection as well, but civilians do not need and should not possess military assault weapons. And now the student's going to lead into, while citizens should keep the right to own guns, stricter laws for stronger background checks should be implemented to keep unnecessary assault weapons off our streets. So see, it all ties back to the opening sentence, even though the opening sentence is a little broader. And then here's the pivot. Although the third sentence is the pivot right here, although disagreements arise about its interpretation, most people agree that citizens no longer need to own weapons meant for military protection. Okay, so that's what the student is leading towards, and that self-protection is okay, but it is stricter background checks will help prevent unnecessary assault weapons from being on our streets, which then in turn deters deranged criminals, which then in turn prevents massacres. So hopefully you get this. I gave you another example right here, a call to action for the cell phone use on the road. And again, you'll see argument in orange, topic 1 in yellow, topic 2 in pink, topic 3 in blue. And then if you go through the conclusion, you'll see that the conclusion follows the formula exactly and reads really nicely. Okay, as always, you can talk to me if you have any questions.